the legislative branch of the Philippines?
The legislative branch is authorized to make laws, alter and repeal the power of the vested Philippine Congress. This institute is divided to the Senate and House of Representatives. The legislative branch enact the legislation, confirms the eject, principal appointment, and has authority to declare war. This branch include Congress, the Senate of the House of Representatives, the several agencies that provide supports and service to Congress. The Senate is composed of 24 senators who are elected at large by the qualified voters of the Philippines. The House of Representatives is composed of about 250 members elected from the legislative district and provinces, cities, and municipalities, and the representatives elected through the party system and system of registered national and regional and sectorial parties or organization. The party list representative shall constitute 20% of the total number of representatives, including those under the party list, for 3 consecutive terms. For ratification of constitution, one half seat located to the party list representative should be filled as the provided by law by selection or election from the labor, peasant, urban poor, indigenous cultural communities, women and youth, and such as sector as be provided by law, except the religious sector.
Legislative power is vested in the Congress of the Philippines. The Congress is bicameral consisting of the Senate of the Philippines and the House of Representatives. The two chambers have rule equal power, and every bill or resolution that has to go through both houses need the consent of both chambers before being passed for the President's signature. The Senate is located in Pasay, while the House of Representatives is located in Quezon City, both of which are in Metro Manila. The Senate of the 1916-1935. The Philippines legislature, in whom legislative powers were vested, was a bicameral legislative body composed of a Senate and a House of Representatives. The Jones Law gave a Philippine legislature general legislative power, with the limitation that all law affecting immigration, currency, coinage, or tariff, and those pertaining to lands of public domain, timber, mining are subject to the approval of the President of the United States of America. It also gives the Filipinos greater participation in government through the power of confirmation over the appointments of officers in the executive and judicial branches of the government. During its 19-year existence, the country went through 7 elections from 1916 to 1934 to elect members of both chambers of the legislature. In the first election, on the first Tuesday of October 1916, 2 senators were elected from each of the 12 senatorial districts, one for a term of 6 years, the other of 3 years. In subsequent general election, there was to be elected from each district one senator for 6 years. There were 2 appointive members for the Senate who were designed by the American Governor General to represent the non-Christian area of the archipelago. The elected representatives served for 3 years, while the senator, except half of the 22 who won in the first senatorial race in 1916, had a 6-year tenure. The 24-month Philippine Senate was represented by 2 senators from each of the 12 senatorial districts into which the country was divided. 11 of the districts were represented by senators elected by qualified voters in the representative bailiwicks. The 12th senatorial district, which was then generally inhabited by non-Christian Filipino, was represented by two appointed senators who had no fixed term. The two appointed senators were Joaquin A. Clarin and Joji Boto, representing the province in Mindanao Mountain Province and Baguio from 1916 to 1918, with the latter only being reappointed in 1926. Altogether, there were 67 senators who served in the Philippine Senate at one time or another one, 1916 to 1935. Over half of these senior solon were elected at least once. A number of them were elected several times, as in the case of Manuel L. Quezon, who repeatedly served as senator from 1916 to 1935, when he assumed the presidency of the Philippine Commonwealth. Senate President pro tempore Sergio Asameo, who was first elected senator in 1922, was also a multi-time senator who later emerged as a vice president leadership at the top of the Senate. Her chair was quite filled during its extent through the strong stewardship of Senate President Quezon, re-elected 3 times in a row. He lorded it over the Senate since its founding and relinquished it only when he became President of the Commonwealth. During its existence, the Philippine legislature enacted altogether 1,619 laws, covering all subjects or legislation except foreign affairs. The Philippine legislature has closed its career in the service of our people to pave the way for the final preparation for the forming and adoption of the Philippine Constitution and the establishment of the Commonwealth of the Philippines, which were conditions precedent of the attainment of our political independence. On May 1, 1934, it accepted the 13th Magsaysay Law, which authorized the forming of the Philippine Constitution.
The present Congress of the Philippines, the 1972 Constitution, abolished the bicameral legislature and instead established a numerical body under a parliamentary government. The legislative bodies created during the Martires Law were the Batasang Bayan, the Interim Batasang Bayan, and the Batasang Pambansa. When the Popular People Power or EDSA Revolution broke out in February 1986, Corazon Aquino was installed as the new president. She issued a proclamation creating a constitutional commission to draft a new constitution for the Philippines. The said commission covered on June 1, 1986 and finished in works on October 15, 1986. A plebiscite held on February 7, 1987 overwhelmingly relative the present 1987 Constitution. The 1987 Constitution restored the presidential system of government together with the bicameral Congress of the Philippines. Section 1, Article 6 of the 1987 Constitution provides as follows: the legislative power shall be vested in the Congress of the Philippines, which shall consist of the Senate and the House of Representatives, except to the extent reserved to the people by the provision of initiative and referendum.
The present Congress is actually a reincarnation of the Philippines under the 1940 amended to the 1940 amended by the new Constitution. The upper chamber is composed of 24 members elected at large who serve a term of 6 years. Senators cannot serve beyond 2 consecutive terms. The Senate of the 15th Congress is currently headed by Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile pro tempore Jinggoy Ejercito Estrada. Majority Leader Vicente C. Soto III and Minority Leader Alan Peter Campañero S. Cayetano. It has 36 permanent committees and 5 oversight committees to fulfill the wills of the legislative, mill the Senate, or any of its committees may conduct formal inquiries or investigation in aid of legislation. The committees are classified into what
How a bill become a law.
Lawmakers file bills on issues of their concern, although bills in international agreements and treaties are traditionally introduced by the Senate. Nominate these bills on a procession and thus authorizing increase in public debts or personal from the House of Representatives.
Article 6, Section 5 of the 1987 Constitution provides that out of the total number of members, 20% shall come from party list representatives, one half of which shall be filled by sectoral representatives for the first 3 terms of Congress. Power of Congress. Number 1. General legislative power. 2. Implied powers. 3. Inherent powers. 4. Specific and legislative power. 5. Executive power. 6. Supervisory power. 7. Electoral power. 8. Judicial power. And 9. Miscellaneous powers. General legislative power. This power of Congress consists of laws intended to serve as rule of conduct in governing relations between individuals or between individuals and the state. Examples of these laws are civil laws, commercial laws, criminal laws, and political laws. Implied powers. These powers are essential to the effective exercise of other powers granted by the Constitution of the Congress. The power to conduct inquiry and aid of legislation through its Blue Ribbon Committee is within the ambit of the implied power of Congress. Inherent powers. These are the powers which, though not expressly given, are nonetheless exercised by the Congress as they are necessary for its existence, such as to determine the rules of proceedings, to compel attendance of absent members, to obtain quorum, to do business, to keep tenure of its proceedings. Specific legislative powers. These powers have reference to those which the fundamental law expressly and specifically directs to perform or execute. Powers enjoyed by the Congress under this category are the following: power to appropriate through the passage of the General Appropriation Act, power as constituent assembly or introduce amendments to the fundamental law by a vote of 3/4 of its all members, power to impeach to be initiated by the House of Representatives, power to confirm treaties by 2/3 vote of all senators. Executive power. Power of Congress that are executive in nature are the following: appointment of its officers, affirming treaties by 2/3 vote of the members of Senate, confirming presidential appointees through the Commission on Appointments and Removal power. Supervisory power. Congress exercises considerable control and supervision over the administrative branch. Notable among these are the following: to decide the creation of a department or agency office, to define powers and duties of officers, to appropriate funds for governmental operations, and to prescribe rules and procedure to be followed. Electoral power. The following are considered electoral power of Congress: elect its presiding officers and other officers of the House, act as board of canvassers for the canvass of presidential, vice presidential votes, and elect the president in case of any electoral titled the said votes. Judicial power. This power of Congress enables it to pass judgment upon certain parties. Powers of action covered under this category are the following: to expel and suspend its erring members, to initiate contempt proceeding in the Congress, To ensure and approve amnesty declared by the President of the Philippines, to initiate, prosecute, and thereafter decide cases of impeachment, and to decide electoral protests of its members through the respective electoral tribunal. Miscellaneous powers. These are the power mandate of the Constitution to Congress. Among these powers are the following: to authorize the Commission on Audit, the audit fund and property; to authorize the President of the Philippines to fix tariffs, rates, quotas, and dues; to authorize the President of the Philippines to formulate rules and regulations in times of emergency; to reapportion legislative districts based on established constitution standards; to implement laws on autonomy; to establish a national language commission.